Good evening. I'm Danelle Presky, Vice President of the Bismarck Public School Board. It's 5:15 on Monday, July 13th, and I call this meeting to order. Welcome to our new school board members. First of all, Mr. Auckland and Mr. Jonas, thank you for joining us tonight, both here and at the city's Tom Baker Room or online. You can find our agenda under the School Board tab at bismarckschools.org. Dr. Scher, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Presky?
Here.
Mr. Eastgate?
Here.
Mr. Auckland?
Here.
Dr. Jonas?
Here.
Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Dr. Fosnett, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1C, Bismarck Public Schools Mission, Vision, and Values. The BPS mission is to empower every learner to thrive. The BPS vision states, together our strong relationships build inclusive, collaborative, and innovative environments that create agency, inspire a passion for learning, excellence, and discovery. BPS values are inclusion, excellence, innovation, leadership. You'll also find a link to the agenda on the BPS strategic plan. Item 2 is to adopt the agenda. What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Eastgate.
Vice President Presky, I would move that we adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Dr. Scher?
Auckland?
Yes.
Jonas?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Eastgate?
Yes.
Presky?
Yes. Item 3 is the focus on success. Dr. Fosnett?
Good afternoon, board members. It's nice to see you. Dr. Jonas, welcome to the board. Mr. Auckland, welcome to the board on my behalf. It's good to see all of you. Tonight I'd like to introduce up to the podium one of the, hidden figures of BPS. Many people don't see the great things. We try to showcase our graduates and our scholarship winners every year, but I don't think people really appreciate the power and the work that goes into the Bismarck Public Schools Foundation. And it is one of the almost the heartbeat of the district, besides our kids and our teachers, but it's working behind the scenes to empower many of the things we do to help support our kids. And so to give you our annual report, I'd like them to welcome to the podium Mrs. Talia Nygaard, who is our BPS Foundation
Development Director.
Thank you. I was missing the word. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Good evening, Vice President Presky and members of the BPS board. Thank you for inviting us to be here tonight. I'm excited to share the Foundation's accomplishments over the past year and our strategic priorities moving forward. Through our MOU with the district, the Foundation currently employs me as the full-time development director and marketing specialist Jaden Berg, who assists with the Foundation's communications and marketing efforts part-time. I'd like to thank Will Swanson for his continued guidance in strengthening our financial reporting and welcome Sarah Miller, who has joined the Foundation to assist our accounting needs. I'm also grateful for our dedicated board of directors. A special thank you to Rick for his mentorship as I stepped into this role, and to Stacey for her guidance as we continue building the Foundation's impact. The Bismarck Public Schools Foundation partners with the district to empower every learner to thrive by enhancing opportunities for students and recognizing both students and staff. Our vision is to build lasting community partnerships and support innovation, inclusion, and excellence across BPS. Here's a quick snapshot of who the Foundation serves throughout our district. This slide highlights the core values that guide our work every day and are outlined in our strategic plan. Thanks to our generous donors, 98% of every dollar raised directly benefits BPS students and staff. This year, we awarded more than $126,000 in grants, $73,000 in scholarships, and provided over $500,000 in directed giving for programs and school initiatives, and raised over $120,000 to support equity programs like Gallons of Gratitude, Kids Kicks, and Meal Debt Assistance. The foundation hosted several successful fundraising events this year, including Poor Art and Giving Hearts Day, which raised more than $12,000 for the Family Assistance Fund. Thank you to everyone who supported Valvoline's Donate to Drive and our employee giving campaign. Removing barriers to student success remains a priority. Through programs like Meal Debt Assistance and Fill the Bus, we help to ensure students have nutritious meals and the supplies they need to succeed. The total shown today includes $30,000 raised this year for meal debt assistance. These programs are only possible because of our incredible community partners. Thank you to Tri-Energy, Cenex, and KFYR for Fill the Bus, and Shields and Town Square Media for Kids Kicks, along with the many individuals who continue to invest in our students. Supporting teachers remains a key focus. This year, we're especially excited to announce the creation of the Fine Arts Endowment, which will provide approximately $4,000 annually to strengthen fine arts programming across BPS. Tri-Energy Cooperative continues to make a tremendous impact through Gallons of Gratitude. Every fill-up at participating Bismarck Cenex locations helps fund classroom enhancements for BPS teachers. Recognizing students is one of our favorite parts of what we do. Through Student of the Week, Student of the Quarter, and Senior Salute, we're able to celebrate outstanding students across the district while highlighting their achievements throughout the community. Thank you again for allowing us to recognize our scholarship recipients here a few weeks ago. This year, the foundation awarded $73,000 in scholarships and introduced 3 new scholarships for BPS students. The Foundation's long-term impact is made possible through the generosity of our legacy donors. Their planned gifts will continue creating opportunities for BPS students and educators for generations, and we're honoured to recognise their lasting commitment. Thank you for your time and continued support of the Bismarck Public Schools Foundation. It is now my pleasure to turn the presentation over to our Board President, Stacey Lang.
Good evening, Vice President Presky and members of the BPS School Board. I would like to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come up here and to be able to go through our impact report and our strategic plan for the upcoming year. Whether providing cold weather gear, school supplies, or expanded scholarship opportunities, the BPS Foundation remains committed to supporting our students. We recognize that these resources play a vital role in advancing the BPS district's mission to empower every learner to thrive. This past year, Talia and the foundation staff have accomplished remarkable work. She disclosed some of the stuff that they had done, but I'm just going to recap it. They had 3 new donor-funded scholarships, the establishment of a self-endowed fine arts grant, and the creation of 20 new trust-assisted accounts that support fundraising efforts across the district. That takes a lot of work to do, and so they've been working really hard and doing a lot of great work for the district. These achievements reflect the Foundation's continued commitment to expanding opportunities for students and strengthening support for our schools. On behalf of the BPS Foundation Board, we are extremely proud of the work that has been accomplished. Thank you. As we look ahead, we know that there is so much more work to be done. We want to express our sincere appreciation to our donors. Without them, we know that none of the work that we do to enhance district services and recognition would be possible. And so we are grateful for their continued investment for our students, our staff, and the future of Bismarck Public Schools. At this time, I'd like to invite Rick Jeloff to come up here for just a little bit. For the past 10 years, Rick Jeloff has served the BPS community. His service began as a BPS board member in 2016 and now he currently serves as a BPS Foundation board member. He has served as president for both the BPS district and foundation. In the time that I've worked with Rick, there were many things that I came to appreciate. As many of you know, Rick's keen business sense and ability to analyze budgeting and long-term financial strategies have played a significant role in the continued growth and development for both the BPS district and foundation. Under his leadership, the BPS Foundation assets grew from $5.9 million in 2023 to an impressive $8.1 million in 2026. Although the financial growth that happened under his leadership is impressive, that was just one of the many qualities and characteristics that made Rick such an important part of our BPS community. Rick embodies the BPS District Foundation mission statements, district and foundation mission statements to empower every learner to thrive. During my time serving as the development director, one of the primary questions on his mind always was to ensure that new programs provided equal access to students and teachers and ensured all students, regardless of their socioeconomic status, having the ability to succeed. which I really appreciate as a parent and somebody in our community. Rick, I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done to ensure the success of our students and the BPS staff throughout this 10 years. It is greatly appreciated. So now I just wanted to turn it over for comment from the board.
Any comments, questions? Ms. Peterson?
Thanks, Vice President Presky, and thank you to all three of you for standing up and speaking about the BPS Foundation. I know I've been kind of currently the board member serving in this role, and it's been a learning experience, but it is, I would echo everything that the two of you have both stated, not only about Rick's service, but then also just about the incredible things that the foundation does. And then Rick, just personally, just the amount of leadership that you showed in order to really provide that continuity from the time that you were going to be coming off of the board after your service to and really putting us in a really positive footing for not only our financial success, but also the leadership success, I think was invaluable. So speaking kind of as a member of that board and really listening to kind of the things that we need to do, you've been really preparing us for the last several meetings over the last year. So just thank you on behalf of all of us for your service, and you'll be missed. And anytime that you want to come back in any capacity, I think I can speak for all of us that we'd say we'd welcome your service to our community. So thanks for everything.
Mr. Eklund?
I would echo, I don't know if you can hear me. I would echo what Amanda had to say and thank all of you for your service. I was lucky enough to be here the night of the scholarship recipients and watch the line after student be able to come through and receive their scholarships. As somebody who's volunteered in the community a long time, everybody knows the work at BPS Foundation and how fortunate we are to have. So thank you, Rick, Stacy, Dahlia, and your team members, please, for all the work that they do.
Mr. Eastgate?
Thank you, Vice President Presky. Yeah, Rick, thank you. Big time, man. Really appreciate everything you do. Stacy nailed it. You've always had a heart for all kids in our district. You and I have had conversations offline as I was coming on the board, as you were leaving, and then just through being friends and getting a chance to have conversations about where spending's going, and not just towards some of the more visual things that we see out there in the community as far as, sports and athletics make the front page of the sports section a lot, and also talking about those in drama and the arts and all of those things. I know it's something that you're passionate about. So I appreciate you always being quick to remind that of people. There's so many other things going on in our district. To everybody else in the team as well, as Dr. Fosnot was introducing you guys, he talked about the heartbeat, of course, being kids and teachers, and the foundation being such a big part of always helping celebrate those people. So we talked a lot about the kid ones, but also at our kickoff event every fall, and helping award those that are retiring, teachers that are retiring, as well as the mini grants, I think is what they're called. We still call them mini grants, is that right? Offering some funding opportunities for teachers to be able to apply for different ways. I like to bring those up all the time because it's another way for teachers to get some funding for some cool things they have going on in their classrooms, and it's all done because of all the work that you guys do behind the scenes. So thank you for what you do, not just resource development, but creating community partnerships all over. And thanks for giving credit to those businesses as well, because I think it's a big deal when they're raising their hand and saying they're willing to step up for our kids in our district. So thank you guys.
Yeah, some big numbers showing up there on the screen for sponsors and the community support. It's wonderful to see that the community is really behind not only just what we're doing within the walls of our schools, but even outside of it. And I think that you're a very strong arm of BPS. So thank you guys for all your work.
I was going to push him up there, but I thought that might have been a little aggressive.
One of the biggest things for me is after being in the district for 10 years, getting to know Darren, Ben, and Brad, and superintendent, and everybody on this board and past boards, the piece that I loved was that most people didn't know my name. They didn't know what I did at the board, and to me, that was the highest thing of respect, because that means that I didn't do the things that get you in the headlines, right? Nobody wants to be in the headlines. Nobody wants to be in the paper. But I had the privilege of serving with such great board members and serving with great people on the foundation board before me. The groundwork that John Lee and Lemke and Sagsveen and Delorme and Halverson, all when I was on the board, laid, and what we did for the coherent governance model, and instituting that throughout BPS, And now at the foundation level and what we've done there and how we've continued to grow. Talia had mentioned the $100,000 in endowment that the foundation is now providing for fine arts. That's huge. The ex officio members that we now have on the board with Native American culture and with the arts program to allow those voices to be heard is fantastic. And I think we're starting to see the fruits of all that labor, the growth of assets, the divvying out. I think one of my biggest things is we can't give out the funds fast enough. We're growing too fast because there's not enough demand or people aren't applying for these scholarships that they actually need it. And I think that's the message that we're trying to get out there now for everybody is use the funds. Don't continue to grow the foundation outside of getting new donors in. It's really putting the dollars to work so that we can create that equity. I remember being on the board as a new member, and we would talk about playground equipment, and Darren probably remembers all these conversations, but playground equipment was, we had Wilmore that had, rust on their playground equipment and maybe didn't have as strong a PTO. And that's what we're trying to set the foundation for, is so that some of that stuff can be done through that when we don't have the funds because a bond got shot down or because we have deferred maintenance in the district. And I want to thank everybody at this table because they've allowed me to be a part of this district for so long. I mean, Jeff and you allowing me to be on operational excellence and help drive the vision of the district has been fantastic, and I appreciate it so much. Darren, in our conversations over the years, Ben meeting you in the airport and having a random conversation on AI. So, I mean, those are all things that I really hold dear, and I know that the foundation is set up for future success as long as this board is. So you guys have done a terrific job. Good luck to you in the future, and always here to help any way that I can.
Thank you, Rick, for your leadership. Dr. Jonas?
Are we allowed to clap?
Sure, let's clap. Okay, moving on to item 4. Is the reorganization of the 26-27 school board, the election of officers. Do we have a nomination for president?
I think that as whenever there is kind of a changeover in boards or in leadership, I think even just what we just witnessed, when you have that continuity of leadership and the opportunities to keep what is going well and on the right track, but then also for the opportunities to bring new voices in. I just would like to formally nominate Dan Eastgate as president. He has served in both the president role and in the vice president role, and at a time when we need sort of some of those experiences and expertise, so that we can continue some of the big projects that we have, but also kind of bring in some of the new board members and the vision that they might have for what is next. I think that he would really provide that type of leadership.
Mr. Auckland?
Thank you, Vice President. I would also second that nomination.
Okay, Dr. Scher?
Jonas?
Yes?
Peterson?
Yes.
Auckland?
Yes.
Eastgate?
Darren, I'm going to take just a minute because
Okay.
I feel like I'll accept the nomination, although I do think as far as going well, I would have loved to have seen Vice President Presky continue, and she knows that. So, but I do accept the nomination somewhat begrudgingly only because of that. So, yes, thank you.
Presky?
Yes. Thank you, Dan, for accepting that nomination.
You're welcome. That takes place right now.
Make sure we get the signs.
Thank you, Ms. Presky. Well, as we continue on with today's agenda, and I am somewhat honored and well, not somewhat. I am humbled as well to serve in this role. I appreciate it. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Ms. Peterson and Ms. Presky, and to our new board members again. We've been a lot of welcomes, but welcome you guys, and I do look forward to having another great board for another great year this year at BPS. So, thank you. Moving down the agenda, still on the same number. Next up, we will look at electing our vice president for this next year. Board Member Presky.
I would like to nominate Mrs. Peterson.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
And a second from Dr. Jonas. Any discussion at all? Board Member Peterson.
So similar to you, I will accept that nomination, but also knowing that there would be opportunities. I mean, I believe fairly strongly in kind of continuity and learning alongside, and I appreciate the opportunities to learn from what that role could entail with both what Mr. Eastgate did, but also what, how Mrs. Presky is, or Ms. Presky has served in that role, and hopefully can carry it out with fidelity.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. We had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher.
Presky,
Yes.
Auckland,
Yes.
Jonas. Yes. Peterson,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. Item 5 on tonight's agenda is public comment. The board recognizes the central role that parents play in the education of their children, and that we support active parent involvement in the educational process. The board's practice of public comment reflects and aligns with policy BCBA and the spirit of its intent. For classroom issues, it's best to follow the chain of command in our district. You should go to your classroom teacher, your school principal, and then it would go to the assistant superintendent, and ultimately to our superintendent. For any district-wide issues, please reach out to Dr. Fosnot's office. If you do speak tonight, we simply ask that you be responsible, be helpful, and be respectful. Our BPS students deserve to have adults model the expectations that we have for them. Groups urge to select one spokesperson, and individuals will be limited to no more than 4 minutes and will be notified with 30 seconds left to conclude their remarks. The board does not debate issues as presented, but we will take such matters under advisement. With that, if you have any comments tonight, please stand, approach the podium if you'd like to speak. Seeing nobody approaching the podium from the audience tonight, public comment is now closed. Item 6 on the agenda is monitoring district operations. 6A is OE1, Global Operational Expectations. Dr. Fosnot.
Yeah, this one you get annually. It's kind of a summary of all your OEs and making sure that we haven't violated the law since the last time we've met, and really all year. So you will find OE1 Global Operations that you are in compliance with all your OE reports and find no real significant categories that are out of compliance between August of 25 and June of 26. And then obviously, I'm not aware of, no, and I'm pleased to announce, I don't think we have violated the law in any way, shape, or form, nor do I wish that we even come close to that line, so you're in compliance there. And you also received these results earlier this year, but the annual survey you do for the community came back positive as far as 85% of respondents strongly agree or somewhat disagree with the current direction of the district. So that's on the positive side of the scale. So all in our compliance.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fosnot. Board members, any questions or comments? If none, I would entertain a motion. Ms. Presky.
I would move that we accept the report OE1 Global Operational Expectation as fully compliant.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Dr. Scher.
Presky,
Yes.
Auckland,
Yes.
Jonas. Yes. Peterson,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes, motion passes. And then Dr. Fosnot, we'll go right into our next one here. 6B, OE2, Emergency Superintendent Succession.
This is the policy, or this is the report I hope you never have to use, right? We don't want to make sure there's any emergency succession for the superintendent, but this is your time to annual review. You have a process in place, which is a part of the report. You can know that if that could be short term, like didn't expect it, and there is a process of who my succession is if for some reason I'm incapacitated and unable to do my job. That is Dr. Johnson being first on that list, and then Mr. Barnhart being second. But then in more depth, this report just talks about if you would ever have to replace the superintendent, what that process looks like. Not that a board can make those decisions, as you have to brace for that change, you might say, in the future, but it lays out that so you have a guide. And with that, I would say you're in compliance.
Board members, question or comments? Okay, then I would entertain a motion. Ms. Peterson?
I would move to accept the report OE2 Emergency Superintendent Succession as fully compliant, and just thank you that this policy exists and it's as streamlined as it is, so that if we ever need to, we can refer back to it.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Dr. Jonas?
I would second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, Dr. Scher?
Auckland,
Yes.
Jonas. Yes. Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Fosnot. And again, we do not hope to have to go into that, but thank you for having it in there. Next up, we have number 7, matters reserved for board action, BSR 4A, 2026-2027 board appointments.
We do these kind of in 2 sections for you board members and for anybody listening. There's probably more appointments after this, but we do some of those after we get a chance to get a cohesion of the board. And what you want to do is some of those more personal things like the foundation, as Ms. Peterson mentioned tonight, things like our governance committees and those things. So we'll bring those back to you later in August. These are the ones that are really spelled out by some statute, rule, law that says we have to have the board take official action to appoint a representative, and that could be me, could be part of my team, or you. Like some of those are positions. So what we've given you is the list of presently who's sitting in those positions, and then you also have the recommendations, which are really one formal motion. You can make all those recommendations unless you'd like to pull one of those out and have a discussion, but they're very similar to last year. No real significant changes.
Thank you, Dr. Fosnot. Board members, questions or comments at all? I would entertain a motion if none. Ms. Preskey?
Mr. President, I would appoint authorized representatives, designees, and authorizations as listed in the recommendations 1 through 26.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Dr. Scher?
Jonas. Yes. Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Auckland,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. Item 8, the consent agenda. What are the wishes of the board? Ms. Preskey?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. Scher?
Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Auckland,
Yes.
Jonas. Yes. Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. And item 9, superintendent's report. Dr. Fosnot?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that you've already approved it. I think we'll be putting that information out in my annual report, some of those things, including the transportation and pupil membership, which you just approved. Again, you guys have to officially make those motions to approve those before they go into the state because they drive funding. So that's why it's a motion for you versus just a superintendent's report. That being, I am pleased to present to you and to the public, which will go out officially on my social media feed tomorrow, the next version or the next iteration of our strategic plan and kind of the phased approach. When you build a strategic plan for the district, which we did 2 years ago, becomes a 5-year look, 25 to 30, and that was what we did. However, that's a long time. That's a big plan. It's a lot of things. People get lost maybe in where are we today and where are we going tomorrow and what's the next big thing. So last year in our first iteration of this 18-month plan, we just took the basic idea of a very broad 5-year plan, just said, what's the important things that we need to work on the next 18 months? And then, so it helps inform not only what we do in the central office, but even down to building level, principals, leadership teams, and what they're doing, and helps give them a direction of where we're going. So we make sure we're all rowing in the same direction, you may say. So, this is the second iteration of that plan and really helps build upon what we did last time and identifies those key strategic drivers and key strategies we'll be prioritizing over the next 18 months. I will say, based on your feedback, we have done a lot of things in this plan. You're going to see an emphasis on reducing initiatives and increasing decreasing educator workload. let's try to reduce the number of things we ask our teachers to invest their time in so they can focus on the most important thing, and that's our kids and teaching our kids. You're also going to see in this plan strengthening our teaching practices and supporting our educators. And I think it's at a time where being an educator is the most difficult job it's ever been in my 30-plus years of being an educator. So the more we can support them with practical, sustainable, and aligned supports, the better we are. And so you'll see that in the plan. You'll also see a lot of support on nurturing student well-being. We know kids, the challenges are it's a modern stressful time, not only for adults, but for our kids. And we want to make sure we address student well-being and some of the disruptive behaviors we see. We've said it before, that's a small population of our kids. Really, 95% of our kids never even are never in trouble. They don't even get a basic reprimand in school. So we're talking about an increase of those behaviors with a very small proportion of our kids, but they are impacting the classroom. And then we also, this year, you'll see an evolution talking about technology. I think technology is ever present in our lives. You all have it around you. We all have phones. Our kids have technology. But we want to have an earnest conversation over the next 12 to 18 months about how technology impacts our children, how it's effectively used in our classroom, and how to strike the right balance. So you'll see that. If you go forward, I think in the previous page, Mr. Barnard, you'll see we kind of put a circle around the very biggest things. Our drivers are really important to us. We try to keep an eye on them, but within this plan, the ones that are circled are probably the primary drivers. Not that the rest go away. It's just what is our biggest focus this coming 18-month plan. And then on the next page, page 5, that's a new page for this document over last year. We had people questioning like, well, what's the outcome? If you make a plan, how are you evaluating your plan? How are you looking at it? How are you going to see that you achieved it? And because Bismarck is a coherent governance district, my philosophy is we don't need to have 30 outcomes and then because we have a report every month. We're looking at those outcomes continually to now layer on another 30 outcomes, and it becomes almost impossible for us to know what the targets are. So philosophically, what my office has said and what we try to articulate around the district is those outcomes are dealt with here every month. You get those in our OEs and Rs, and you will see those outcomes come in front of the public, and we make them very transparent. That's our focus. That is what we want to keep our eye on, and we're probably trying to do a better job of tracking them and keeping those right in front of us with some better technology. And as I'll just go over these quickly, you'll see in the plan, the first one is strengthening teaching practices, making sure, again, our teachers have the right tools and are equipped. You'll see this last year. We're really proud of the new educator growth model, the Marzano model that we implemented. We think that's a very positive step forward. And then also strengthening our literacy skills for our teachers, how to teach literacy not only in English literacy, but you'd say literacy and numeracy as well. So making sure that our kids, our teachers are empowered to do that. And then we've been spending a couple years on this. I'm now in year 4, just started year 4. So in earnest, the last 2 years for sure, is really building out processes and systems where we engage our teachers and our staff in making collective decision making. I think that's something we want to continue to focus on, make sure we get those people engaged in making decisions, but also helping to do that even better with our parents and our students and hearing them and where they want our district to go. The next one is empowering learners. This is part of our strategic plan, obviously, but increasing and improving our systems of academic support. All classrooms right now follow a guaranteed and viable curriculum, which for me is really important, that a first grade classroom at Solheim has a very similar learning experience than you do at Elk Ridge or anywhere in between the two. So that's what we mean by guaranteed and viable. It's happening everywhere, all the time, in all the classrooms. But we want to continue to ensure that all kids experience that core instruction in the same way and that it's responsive to student needs. And I think that's where the complexity happens. Every single first grade classroom is uniquely different than all the other first grade classrooms based on the students that are within it. And how do we empower our kids? How do we empower our educators to meet the needs of our kids? That's really important to us and something that we need to continue to work on. Personalized learning is the last one under empowering learners. You hear that often here. We give a lot of reports on personalized learning, either Empower, CTE, the work we're doing in the classroom, giving kids voice and choice as they're learning. That is something we need to continue to do. I think it helps build that empowerment of our kids, builds engagement. When kids have a choice of where they're going, when they have a role in what they're doing, they know the purpose, they know the outcome, now they're engaged. When they don't see those things, that's where disengagement happens. So we need to continue to work on that. One of the things that we did this last 18-month plan, and you're well aware of, is the development of a full K-12 virtual school. And we have well over 100 kids in there now, K through 12. I think that has provided just another niche of education, public education that we offer to our kids. And in the right time, in the right place, in the right need, it's the perfect thing for our kids. And so really proud of that. It's taken a good year and a half to get that off the ground. But I do think it has a role for some kids being the right place for them at the right time. So you've heard some more about that. The other one I'd like to talk about too that we need to continue to expand, and you'd mentioned tonight, President Eastgate, our community partners for giving to the foundation. We also have great community partners when it comes from work-based learning. We have some really good community partners that are getting our kids out of our classrooms into the classroom in a workplace. That is a great thing. It helps, again, kid engagement. It makes the real world applicable. They see where their end point is. They know why school is important, because here's where I see the world of work. So that expansion and that build out is tremendously a great thing and something we need to continue to do. So on the next page, page 9, we're going to talk about systems of behavior supports. Again, that's those kids that really all kids, we want to make sure all kids have core instruction on how to be really good citizens, be effective, be good parents, be good neighbors. We do that. We do that with all kids already. That happens. So people maybe not think we do that. We still do that. We teach kids those skills, but we also want to be really tuned in to kids who need additional support. And that's what this talks about, is kids that need some of those additional services, different tiers of support. Making sure we do that and continuing to invest time and energy into those. One of those really proud of this year, all staff members this last year, and we will continue that into this fall, are taking de-escalation strategies. Those are those things. So when times get tough, we've all run into someone who have escalated us. Maybe they've had that conflict. Those are good strategies to have. They're good strategies to have in a classroom. They're also good strategies for life. Just making sure you can bring the temperature down, have good conversations with when things get a little heated. So we've been running all of our staff through those strategies, so they make sure what they are and how to employ them when needed in the district. And so last one I'm going to hit on this page 9 is we've added a couple bullets this year about seeking funding and support, lobbying, advocating. In this area, I think we as a district need to advocate more. We have a lack of services for some of our most challenging kids in our community. Those things we have talked about as a board before. They're just not out there, which puts pressure on moms and dads in homes, and it puts pressures on schools, because all kids have to come to school. It's required by law. And so if we could have some additional supports in our community and get some statewide support for that, we'll be pushing on that pretty hard next legislative session. We continue to do that. So we added a bullet on that point on page 9. And page 10 is about developing human capital, elevating our educators. So we continue to use the VITAL survey to help obtain and get good good data from our staff about how we're engaging with them and how we can make their experience in BPS better. And I know we want to continue to do that to inform our leadership teams and our leaders and how to create really good, positive working cultures and communities. So we need to just continue to expand those pathways and opportunities for our educators to engage in the process of helping to drive the direction and lead our schools. And so that's really important. And the second bullet towards the bottom, what I think we need to continue to work on, it probably always be there personally, I think it'll never quit, is absolutely driving the idea that we need to always be better at communicating with our stakeholders, being transparent, being open, You want to know, ask, we'll give you the answer. Trying to do better on the communication we send home to parents, to the community, things like this. We just got to do better at helping to educate our community about what BPS does every day and addressing the questions they may have. So I think communication and being transparent is critically important. Investing in future educators, I'm really pleased with this one. This has been in our plan since the beginning on page 11, but I think we've doubled down with the foundation. I wish they were still here in the room. We've done some work just in the last 12 months to build not only some better partnerships with the University of Mary and BSC on a true teacher pathway while kids are still in high school, how to take the right dual credit and AP courses to become on the pathway to become an educator, building that so they can get credits before they go into school, but also supporting that with the foundation with scholarship opportunities and maybe granting opportunities when they come back to us. That we think is really important. Let's make this, the job of being an educator, so enticing. We have young people now clamoring at the door to go back into the world of education. And we've done that, I think, in education, K-12 education, really well for over a decade, 20 years, and helping get kids to see pathways into some of our healthcare, into the trades, into those. What we have lacked is we haven't done that really well for our own profession, my profession as an educator. And so we've really been doubling down on how do we build those opportunities to invest in future educators and get young people to see that that's really a great job. It's a tremendous opportunity to be an educator, and can we get them to say yes to going back to being school to be a teacher? So some of those things really proud in that, and we need to continue to do. And then last thing, a look ahead is kind of just a short page for parents and community members that look at it. I would tell you things that are in our radar that we know are going to be challenges, probably even outside of what's in the strategic plan. These are going to affect how we do work. Infinite campus transition. I hope people have heard about that. Power School is going away. How you access your kids' grades last year doesn't work anymore. It's all new. Every school in the state's going to a new product. And so we're putting a lot of energy in communicating that and getting that out to our parents and our even everything we do in school has tied to Power School. So we're learning everything. Everything's kind of fresh this year for all of our people. So we are really looking forward. That doesn't really fit in a strategic plan very well, but it's really important work. Again, I'm going to go back to the one about student behaviors, expanding community access. We need to really double down as a community, as a state, in how we're providing some supports for kids that are our most challenging kids, that need the most help. That could be in behavioral mental health, that can be in juvenile justice. Both of those things need extensive supports in our community to help those kids when they're most at need. And right now we've seen that that's shrunk in the last few years. We need to bring that back. We need some additional supports. The red box this year is really about ensuring safe learning environments. We had a plan with that, with the bond, and some of that we've had to, last time I was here to talk about the 5-year plan, is really addressing some of those safe learning environment issues like handicap accessible bathrooms and elevators and some of those things. We have to find a way to do it. It's on our short list. It's things that we just can't put off anymore, and you heard some of that last meeting. And then lastly, addressing funding gaps. I think this is more on the lobbying side. It's more on the advocacy side as a district. I think we need to talk about how do we get some of those really important things. If they're really critical, we believe it's important for our kids and our educators to do for the success of our children, then I think we need to go say, help us. Help us with some funds to make sure that can happen. And we need to make sure that we have a critical eye on the funding side. But I would also tell you, my office has been for the last 2 years, kind of every time we can, how can we be leaner? How can we be lighter? Continue to do that. But all those are really hard conversations. When you talk about being leaner and lighter, I can only bring back like transportation. That was a conversation about being leaner, right? Saving dollars. None of those are very easy because they all impact families, they impact kids. But I think we have to be forthright and have those discussions. So that's in the next 18 months. We need to continue to do that. So that's the short version of the strategic plan. I took more time than the whole meeting until this point. But I hope you like it. I hope it's helpful to you, and I hope it's helpful to our community. We'll start putting these around on counters and coffee tables, and if you're in a Sanford a clinic, you might see one on a table. I hope people pick them up and take a look at it because it's your school. So I'd stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Frostnot. Board members. Ms. Presky.
Thank you for the report. I really like how we focused in on a lot of the priorities that we've had for a number of years, but then also just really highlighting what we've accomplished, because there's only, there's more to do in those areas as well, but I like the little green thumbs up that is by some of those key areas. So thank you for that. And then I guess my question is, I know in the past we've highlighted this on social media by breaking it down, just because it is such a large document, and we know that sometimes people like information in shorter snippets. So is there a plan for how you're going to, I guess, get this out in the public without putting out the whole document?
Well, tomorrow on social media, because I have it pre-planned like at 9 o'clock, just so you know, and I don't think anyone's tuning their watch to my social media distribution. But tomorrow it'll go out in entirety. But that's kind of just to kind of thank you for the segue. The beauty of one of the things we like about our strategic plan and about the 18-month plan is it was intentionally designed that you can take any one page. You can take one page, make one snip, and you can send it out. You don't have to read the whole 50 pages. You don't have to read the whole 18 pages. You can really take out just one page of that. You can grab any one of these and you can snip it out. And even that's a lot, but it's meant to be sent out as one set. And so we will break that down, and I think we have started to do a better job of, even in our social media content, that's just the regular everyday social media content, started to put some of even the logos on it, so people know, like, oh, that's how that connects to the 18-month plan, how that connects to the strategic plan, so people can start drawing the connection to, oh, that's why that's important, because it's listed in here, and try to use the same pictorials so people can make those connections, to your point. So,
Ms. Peterson.
Thanks, President Eastgate, and thanks, Dr. Fosnat. I think one of the other things to kind of just reiterate is, and first of all, thank you for this report, but also, a lot of times schools and districts put together like a 5-year plan, and then it kind of sits and it's just in that pretty glossy version. I too appreciate sort of the update and the 18-month kind of just reiteration, and I think just kind of for the public, like it's something that you constantly bring back when we have workshops, when we have the excellence committees, that it continues to drive our work and remind us of some of the priorities, and then how you can't maybe do everything all at once, but this is a 5-year plan, and what can we accomplish kind of each year. And then I just think it's good for us to always remember that it is, driving some of our decisions, whether we're talking about the bond at workshops, or whether we are talking about just sort of the day-to-day and the committee work. And so appreciate the highlight. Can't wait to actually get a printout of it. I know I'm a paper person, and so it's been something that we've all been given kind of at various times, and really like how this shaped up for this 18-month.
Dr. Jonas.
Yeah, when I became a school board member, I looked at the strategic plan, I went, wow, that thing is comprehensive, and it's hard to figure out, I think, particularly for public, what we're going to focus on. So I appreciate the effort to try to pull this in a more manageable format, I guess I would say. And then at the end, with those looking ahead, that expanding community access, I think that's one of the things that we've got to let people know, that the issues our schools face are not school issues, they're community issues. And the more support we can get in partnerships, because we can't do this alone. Mm-hmm. It's immense out there, and we all know that. And I think anything we can do to expand that is going to be extremely important. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jonas. Mr. Auckland.
I just thank you for the report. Really appreciate the information. I just wanted to ask one question on the Infinite Campus transition. Is there a lot more information you guys are just pulling together and as you're migrating everything over, and how that's rolling?
Yeah, actually, thank you, Mr. Auckland, for the question. You've seen a couple probably communications going to parents so far to kind of let them know. Very light thus far. The state, Department of Public Instruction, kind of has a more aggressive communication plan coming as that rolls out into August. what we have done is we've kind of married our communication plan with that. So our office, Mr. Kuntz and him, even our building principals have kind of layered their communication in between the DPI's communication to try to build off of it, build with it. And some of it we've talked about is, well, we could have said in August, or let's back that up, sorry. We could have said in March, hey, Infinite Campus is coming, here it is. We kind of perceived that most people weren't going to engage with that because they're still in school, they're still doing Power School. It's kind of like putting it out the right time. So I would tell you, parents, you should be watching. You're going to get an email that says things about busing. Please take that and please execute that, work on that, because that's a whole separate system. But as communication is coming out, you're probably going to get information separately on your Infinite Campus login and how you can get an account or how you can download the app and connect to it. When that comes, be looking for that. That's going to come out in probably the next 3 weeks. Engage with that. Download the app. That's how you're going to get your kids' schedule. That's how you're going to know what classroom they're in and what, Mr. and Mrs. Who and or so as their teacher. Those are the things we need you to do to engage with that, to help build those skills before we get to the first day of school. And I'd tell you, if nobody opens those up and does that till the first day of school, customer service is going to be to do our very best to help you. It is not going to help all of you instantly. So the more we can engage with that communication as we're bringing it out over the next 4 to 5 weeks, the better off we'll be. So we really hope that parents take note as it comes out.
Thank you.
Some of you are parents, so I'm just giving you the word.
He's looking right at us when he's saying that. No, I really appreciate that because that's something, communication is so important, and making sure that our parents are hearing that and the heads up as that's coming along.
Thank you. Ms. Presky.
I'm laughing over here because I finally figured out Power School.
Yes.
We have a new opportunity to succeed.
That is well noted, Ms. Presky. I can second that one. Yeah, Dr. Fosnot, thanks to you and your team. I know it's not just you putting out the entire strategic plan, but helping lead the charge. And has been noted by other board members, thanks for giving us not just, we have a 5-year window that some of these strategic plans get reapproved, reevaluated, but it's important that we have an idea what we're trying to accomplish this year. And so, as Dr. Jonas mentioned, it's a big plan. And so to know, like, hey, it doesn't mean these other things aren't important, but this is where we're going to focus our efforts this year as a district. So very much appreciate that. With that, unless there's any further questions. Yes, Dr. Fosnot. Still your report.
Sorry, I'm going to add this, only because it's a recent change. You guys got this from the email from Mrs. Estabrook, but for the sake of the public, thank you to some good critical friends out there that have brought up the issue of having trouble accessing our board agendas online. There was some issues with SharePoint and Microsoft product that were making families have to try to log in to get access to those should be very public documents. So you will see on our website now, go to Bismarck Public Schools, click on School Board's agendas and minutes. It's always been there. That hasn't changed. But when you do that, you're now going to see those are really static PDFs. They're not really as clickable as they used to, where you could dive into each page. We've just taken all the pages of your document that you get and put it into one PDF. Now, is that ensured the most accessibility? We have issues with that we're going to have to fix. But for the temporary, while we find a long-term solution, we thought that's the easiest way to ensure that everybody at least can get the agenda, get the basic materials, and we don't leave anybody out as far as communication. So my apologies, but we're trying to fix the problem. It's going to take a while for us to find the right solution. So,
Mr. Auckland.
I just want to thank you for doing that and looking into that. I've been contacted about it several times, and it's really great that we're striving to try to make that as available as possible.
Thank you. Anything else in the superintendent's report? No, appreciate the last note. With that, all agenda items have been considered. I declare this meeting adjourned.